Well, the playoffs are officially almost done for the St. Louis Blues because last night, like usual, the script is real and Connor McDavid did get the overtime winning goal for the Oilers, and now the Blues are in a really bad situation. What exactly is going on? Who do I want to leave the team? This is all coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I do have a bit of a cold, so if I sound a little bit nasally and not like myself, I do apologize. But I wanted to get this episode up today after last night's loss to the Edmonton Oilers. It was a good game. I will give both teams that credit. I'll talk in more detail about the game. Trade Kevin Hayes. At this point, he has done nothing for the Blues in a positive way. Now, if you're an opposing team, you might want the Blues to keep Kevin Hayes. And of course, tank. Why am I saying this? Why am I giving up? Again, I will explain as the episode does go on. But before that, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. I am live today on YouTube per usual, so make sure you leave a comment, say hello, and let me know your thoughts on the St. Louis Blues and what's going on, as well as Twitter at Locked On Blues. You can also leave me your thoughts on there as well. So I want to talk about last night's game. I thought, honestly, that the Blues were going to win after the first period. Okay. So a couple minutes into the game, Robert Thomas has a power play goal assisted by Torrey Krug, and then the secondary assist was Jordan Kyrou. Now, I was impressed because, again, the Blues scoring on a power play, it's very rare. You don't see it that often. So when it does happen, it's impressive. Okay. A couple minutes after Thomas's goal, Pavel Buchnevich scores, and the Blues are up 2-0. Jordan Kyrou, by the way, was the first assist. He fed the puck to Bush, and then Thomas with the secondary assist. So all is good, right? You know, the Blues are up 2-0 against the Edmonton Oilers. You know, Binnington looks phenomenal in net. That all changed because the Blues, after the 4-minute and 49-second mark, did not score for the rest of this contest. Zach Hyman on the power play scored for Edmonton as the first period was winding down. And he was assisted by, of course, Connor McDavid. Now, that's going to be a name that you're going to hear a lot because in the second period, the only goal scored was by Zach Hyman, getting his 40th of the season, by the way. And he was assisted by Connor McDavid. So the third period comes around, and honestly, I have to tell you, I thought Jordan Binnington looked phenomenal in net. Now, Skinner for Edmonton, he looked good in net too. There was no denying that. The Blues did have a lot of chances, shot-wise, but it was a very competitive game. At one point, Kane and Parayko were exchanging words, and I thought a fight was about to go down between them two, but nothing happened. And overtime happens. And the hockey gods are so real for this one because McDavid has been on a drought, right? He hasn't scored a goal in quite a while. And, you know, I always joke about the script, right? I know there's actually not a script. I know that games are fair and this isn't, played out like how the NFL can be. And of course, who gets the overtime goal? That is Connor McDavid. So on Connor McDavid's OT goal, it solidifies a 3-2 win for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, St. Louis luckily did come out of this game with a point. You might be thinking, hell, a point, really? It's better than coming out with nothing. I will give the Blues that. But overall, this is what's frustrating about the St. Louis Blues team is that they had themselves in this game, okay? They were up 2-0. Okay, fine, it's 2-1 after 20 minutes. And they just kept on blowing this lead more and more. And that I can't process how, you can have Jordan Binnington, who is so strong in net, right? And yet it wasn't enough. And that's the problem. I mean, here's another thing too, when you think about this game. It was a very competitive hockey game. I mean, obviously, I know Edmonton is a better team than St. Louis, but St. Louis really held their own. And to draw the game to OT, I thought for sure that the Blues were going to finish this game off. And I was excited, right? Obviously, Connor McDavid's one of the best, to play right now. I'm not going to say of all time yet, but one of the best currently in the NHL. So it is what it is. After the game, Drew Bannister said, obviously, we're disappointed with the loss. We felt like we deserved better in that game, playing back to back with our travel. Before I continue on what Bannister said, that feels like an excuse to me. Back to back with our travel. A lot of teams have back to back games and a lot of teams travel. You're professional athletes. It is your job to go on the ice and perform. And granted, with how the NHL schedule is this season, you have so many off days between games that, sure, if you have a slate of back to back games, that's not ideal. But every other team has to do it in this league. I don't know one team that hasn't had back to back games of travel this season. Mostly every team has. So for me, off the bat, excuse. Why are we coming up with excuses for the Blues not getting the job done? Why is it that the Blues weren't rebounding last night? I mean, there were so many opportunities in front of Skinner where the puck clearly was positioned to where there was empty space. And yet nobody was there. So instead of saying, oh, well, they had back-to-back games with travel, how about you just say, yeah, they had a lot of opportunities that they didn't capitalize on. That's one thing I cannot stand right now. But Bannister, and I'm not trying to criticize him as a coach, but as a fan, it is a little bit frustrating when you use the excuse of back-to-back games and travel. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. I could be overreacting. I just feel like that kind of annoys me. He also said, I love the effort of our guys. I thought we dug in here tonight. I was disappointed for the guys that we weren't able to get the win, but a lot of positives we can take from the game moving forward. Now, there were positives, especially like that power play goal. The power play looked better. They had fine defense. Torrey Krug had a couple good blocks. Um, but again, it's the same thing we get told after every single loss or any single game that results in just getting 1 point in OT. Still a loss, but still an overtime loss, so it's at least something better. But it's the same excuses time and time again. And I hate saying the word excuse, but it is an excuse. After the game as well, Robert Thomas says, tough back-to-back for us. Getting in late and playing a team that is fast and so dynamic. I think we did a really good job. I don't think we could be upset with ourselves. We were in that game right to the end. We did a ton of good things and had our chances. I'm happy with our effort. So I like Robert Thomas. I'm not going to come at him. The team did have effort, okay? I'm going to give them that. They started off really hot. Obviously, Tomer got a goal right away, which was probably one of the best positive starts to a game, especially on the power play. But they had a ton of opportunity, and it's not Thomas's fault. His line played well that night. I mean, Thomas, Kyrou, and Buchnevich, they've been better, consistent again, back to themselves. So it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, like, you can't deny that the start was good, right? And McDavid obviously said at the end of the game, he was talking about Hyman. I'm so happy for him. He's a guy who brings it every single day with a positive attitude and a smile on his face. Even when things weren't going well, he shows up. It's great to see him get rewarded. He's been playing great this year. He's been banging goals left and right and center. So that's the difference between these two teams, is that you have an all-star like Connor McDavid. And I hate to be this person right now that's doing this. Notice how he talks about his teammates. The first thing he says after the game is about another player on the team that had 2 goals in that game. And while those 2 goals did allow Edmonton to go to OT, he did get the game-winning goal, and yet he's talking about his teammate. And that is one thing about having a leader like a Connor McDavid. He genuinely cares about his teammates. And I'm not a fan of the Oilers. I cannot stand Edmonton. I think they're a really bad organization. I do, however, have respect for Connor McDavid. And I think that's the biggest difference right now between these two franchises at the moment, is that your superstar really, really, really looks out for his teammates. And I think that goes to show that they play better hockey because it's more of a dynamic duo going on. So I'm going to talk about trading Kevin Hayes because at this point I am fed up. But before I do that, I'm going to talk to you about Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all in prices and views from your seats. And of course, their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. So you get the last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find and buy tickets for all kind of events. And of course, the best part about Game Time is you always will get the lowest price guarantee. You have event cancellation protection and job loss prevention. Game Time truly does look out for their customers. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKED ON for $20 off your first purchase. Again, use that code LOCKED ON for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. And again, use code LOCKED ON. I'm going to answer this one question from Zach. What is going on with this team? The past couple games have been heartbreakers. This roster itself is a heartbreaker, and I think the coaching change has done all it really could. Well, Zach, I kind of like that you said that right now because you're bringing me into my next point. And that has to do with Kevin Hayes. Now, why am I singling out Kevin Hayes? I'm not signaling him out, but he was one of the guys that we got in this offseason that was supposed to be a really positive addition to this team. Now, do I think that he's done that? I'm going to be completely transparent. No, I don't. And I feel bad because, again, like I don't hate Kevin Hayes, okay? I just don't think that he's playing good hockey. He only has 22 points this season with 10 goals, 12 assists. And yeah, his plus minus is 10. So, no, it's not 10. I'm sorry. His plus minus is -8. So, not so good. Yeah, I'm over it. Okay. He's not it. Okay. Every time he goes on the ice, and I will tweet this, like I tweeted this last night. What is he doing? It just seems to me that he can't keep up with the pace of the game. Um, his line just is atrocious, that whole line in general. And I think that Kevin Hayes, honestly, and I know that the Blues are not paying a lot for him, right? Because the Flyers did retain half of his contract. But at the same time, is it worth having him on the team? Now, I think that if you want to propose a trade and maybe he goes to like the Arizona Coyotes, who have been playing really bad hockey, then maybe do something with that. But at this point, I would rather them bring up a younger guy on the Thunderbirds and give him a shot. Because Kevin Hayes, I watch what he's doing on ice, and every single time, I just feel like I'm watching garbage hockey. And I don't think, here's the thing, when you criticize a player, right? Like, I don't want Kevin Hayes to see this and be like, oh my God, like, she's really out against me. I don't hate him as a person, right? I'm not that kind of person. But as somebody that's a fan of the team and as somebody that covers the team for you, I just don't see the benefits of having him on the ice. Maybe I'm wrong. Does anybody else feel that way? Do you feel like having Kevin Hayes on the ice is beneficial? Do you feel like he's helping improve the St. Louis Blues? Because right now, let's face it, the Blues are about to miss the playoffs for the second season in a row. And you get a guy like Kevin Hayes, who supposedly is supposed to help the team get back into the playoffs, but yet he hasn't helped one bit. 22 points this season. Not so good. And that third line sucks, and I don't know why they don't fix it. There's not much to fix because you don't have anybody to help fix it. Frustrated. And I'm sure you're frustrated. I just feel like last night especially, he was getting outskated, and every time he had the puck, he just looked lost on the ice. He couldn't draw any good plays, and I just feel like at this point, the Blues obviously are not meshing well with Kevin Hayes. Now the guys on the team might like him, and I'm saying though how he's playing. I'm not saying, his interaction. I'm not saying that he has beef with anybody on the team. I'm just saying that he has been problematic and he hasn't been playing good hockey. So I would healthy scratch him. Honestly, I would just get him off the ice because having him on the ice is a liability. Okay. And I said what I said. So let me know. What do you think the Blues are going to do about him? Personally, I do not want 2 more seasons with Kevin Hayes. So hopefully they figure that out ASAP Ferguson. Okay. My voice, I'm like trying to get through this episode. I am so sorry. I know that I probably sound awful right now. This is my second cold in like 2 weeks. So that's a little annoying to me. But it's not annoying. It is sleeper. It's past the halfway point of the season, Blues fans. And right now, we may not make it to the playoffs. Regardless of where we are in the standings, I want to remind you that you can win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number 1 choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because of Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. And all you have to do is pick guys like a Robert Thomas, a Pavel Buchnevich, a Jordan Binghamton, and see if they will record more or less in their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. To bet 100 times on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Blues fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nailing your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Tank, 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 tank. The Blues should just tank at this point. I'm sounding negative. Maybe I am a little bit negative. I don't see them making it to the playoffs. I know. It's the reality check that I did not want to say, but it's most likely what is going to happen. The St. Louis Blues, honestly, are not good enough to make it. They are about 3 games behind the Predators, and that spot right now for the wild card, it's getting a little bit out of touch, right? At this point, I'm not saying, throw in the white flag and give up, but play your younger guys, give them experience. I just genuinely think that the Blues would be better off having some good draft picks rather than having a shot at the wild card when I don't think they're going to even get it. I was looking at the numbers, and realistically, they had to win like 8 of their next 10 games. Do I see that happening? No. I don't even know if they could win 2 out of their next 10 games with how they've been playing. I hate to be negative, and I want to know what you think. Do you think the Blues seriously are going to make the playoffs? Have you gave up on the idea that they can make the playoffs? Tell me what you think. Leave a comment down below. Leave a comment in the chat. Tell me, because right now, I just don't think the Blues have what it takes. My cat's like, yeah, me neither, after she saw the game last night. I think that if the Blues went on to this road trip, right, and they were able to at least show some success. No, I'm not saying against the Winnipeg Jets. I understand that they are a very, very, very good hockey team. And I'm not putting that pressure on them. But I mean, even if they beat the Red Wings, obviously that 6-1 loss sucks. They lost to the Jets, the Oilers, 3-game losing streak, not good. And in the Blues' last, this is even worse than I thought. In the Blues' last 6 games, they only won 2 games. 2 games in their last 6. So that's all you need to know. They're 2-6. That's bad. That's really bad. Yeah, they're done. I'm sorry, they're done. I just had like that moment of like realization. They're done. They're not making the playoffs. Yeah, if you're going 2-6, I'm sorry. I don't care how hard of a schedule you have. You're not good enough to make the playoffs. So the Blues tank. Me need to get better and not feel sick. So I'm going to go before I completely just am unable to talk. But I will talk to you for an Are We Feeling Blue Friday, and I can bet you none of us are going to be feeling blue. So it is what it is. I'm also getting a new theme song, by the way. So stay tuned. I think you're going to like it. All right. Bye. And like always, let's go Blues.